Hello, this is an X post. It's been going pretty wild on the exosphere. That sounds rather space age, doesn't it? Anyway, and it involves this young woman here, a 12-year-old girl, who turned up at school during a multicultural day or some sort of event where people are supposed to celebrate their culture. She turned up in a Union Jack dress, a very nice one too, with a Union Jack bowler hat. And she was isolated from the rest of the kids and then finally sent home. Apparently they turned away a child who was the child of a farmer who turned up in a flat cap and a checked shirt. And another one who was simply wearing a St. George's flag. Oh, and another one with a Welsh flag. So let's not say that they were particularly picking on the English. Right, so this is what the girl had to say. This is what has been reported. She wanted to celebrate being British. She couldn't understand what was wrong with that. She wasn't the only kid picked out either. One child from, well, we've already said that. It was ridiculous. I think this must be what the father was saying. It just seemed anything that was remotely British wasn't allowed. Others were allowed in burqas, niqabs, or traditional Nigerian clothing. And then after the fuss blew up, there was a statement from the school. It's from Stowe Valley Multi-Academy Trust, and I don't know what multi-academy means. At Builton School, we're proud of the diversity of our students. Not so much by the looks of things. And the rich heritage, they always use the word rich, don't they? They bring to our community. We are committed to fostering an environment where every pupil feels respected, valued and included. On Friday, 11th of July, an incident occurred during our Culture Celebration Day that caused considerable upset to one of our pupils, apparently a couple more. Only one made the big fuss. That's the point. We deeply regret the distress. Whether you regret it or not, oh Builton School, you have upset a child. This incident will remain with her for the rest of her life. We've since spoken directly with the pupil. That's directly to the pupil. You can't get your English straight either. And her family to listen to their concerns and reflect on how this could have been handled better. Well, at least they didn't say lessons learned, which means no lessons learned at all. They managed to avoid that one. We are committed to learning. We're committed to learning from this experience and ensuring that every student feels recognised, etc., 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 blah, blah, blah. As a school, we're reviewing our policies and strengthening staff training to ensure our practices reflect our values of, let's get this straight, inclusion, respect and understanding for all. First of all, it's inconsistent even under its own rules. If you're celebrating cultural diversity, then that should include the culture of the individual children, wherever they're from, even from down the road. Cultural Diversity Day, its specific remit was to celebrate all cultures. What were those English kids supposed to come as then? Sending a 12-year-old student home and publicly shaming a child for wearing the flag of the country of which she is a citizen or a subject of the king. Their answer was she couldn't come like that because she could celebrate her culture every day. Well, she can be a girl every day. Were they asking her to come as a boy then? So, as you saw, the school has apologised, says it'll improve staff training, but that's not the point. The point is that the staff themselves are too stupid to know the difference between pride in being British and right-wing extremism. That's what the problem is. But before you Yanks get very self-satisfied about this, I'm going to show you something from the USA which shows exactly the same thing coming up in American schools. Now look, I have said this on many occasions. It's happening all over the West, and one of the big problems is the teachers are really, really, really stupid. I'm not saying all of them, but there are enough who are so loud that the intelligent ones just stay quiet for a quiet life. Anyway, I'm going to be discussing that, stupidity over the question of gender identity, and of course, Trump derangement syndrome. After I've told you that I'm granniopteryx, please like this video, please share it, please subscribe to my channel. If you're on YouTube, just check that you really are subscribed. The subscriptions seem to sort of fluctuate, and I think that's because YouTube does a little house cleaning from time to time. The other thing is, if you want to financially help my channel, that's nice too. As I say, only if you can afford it. And all the links to the various methods that you can use are in the description. Right, on with the teachers. So, as I have said, there are too many teachers who are not that intelligent. And then we have to ask, were they ever intelligent? And the fact is no, not many were that intelligent in days of old. But in days of old, even these semi-intelligent people could give a decent education. Now, I've taught in primary, I've taught all over the place. I mean, I did have a university career, but because I prioritised my family over my career, I ended up doing a lot of supply teaching and, sort of stand-in teaching and that sort of thing. So I've taught in primary schools and in secondary schools and in sixth form college as well as university. And I found that many of the primary and secondary school teachers particularly didn't have much I didn't have much respect for their levels of intelligence. The college teachers, I really enjoyed being around them. But, it wasn't, with the primary and secondary school teachers, it wasn't so much their ability to think as their ability to think flexibly, which seemed to be the problem. So when they got their instructions, well, it became their religion. And that is the hook of people who don't really want to understand the world too well. In 2023, the UK had a required course called Relationship, Sex and Health Education or something, and it was part of the mandatory curriculum. And it was supposed to prioritise inclusivity and diversity. And this is the sort of thing I'm talking about. Basically, all it should be, is simple good manners. That's the point. It's when the government has taken things like diversity and inclusivity as a sort of mantra, and all it really is just telling people to be well-mannered towards people who are different from you in some way. But because it's called diversity and inclusivity, a lot of dumbos interpret it as prioritising multiculturalism. The University of Oxford issued a study a few years ago showing that, something just under 70% of British schools emphasise multicultural education, and only about 10-15% of them explicitly include British heritage. It's what I call the holier than thou syndrome. If one school talks about 20% multiculturalism, then another school feels more virtuous if it does 40% multiculturalism. And that goes for different teachers in different classes as well. Mix that with the leftist bias of most school teachers, and you have a very toxic mix. Now, if you think it's just female teachers, you're wrong. I'm going to show you a couple of gender studies classes here. This is one. I've played this before, but it definitely bears playing again. It's 3 minutes, so I'm going to chop it about a bit just to get the juicy bits. Here you are.
Really upset someone. Saying things like should be in an asylum.
Now, that was sort of gaslighting. What had happened was this kid apparently said that if some other kid thinks they're a cat, then they have a mental illness. That doesn't mean they have to be in an asylum, obviously, but it does mean they have something that's a bit wrong with them. That's more or less what the kid was saying. But because the kid said have some sort of a mental illness, the teacher said, oh, so you're saying they should be in an asylum. And that is a typical, well, a stupid teacher sort of response. Let's carry on.
I didn't say that. I just said if they want to identify as a cat or something, then they're like genuinely unwell. Then they've gone. Yeah, they're crazy.
So I don't know whether you can hear it. The kid said if they want to identify as a cow, then they're unwell.
You're questioning their identity.
And the teacher says you're questioning their identity.
I wasn't a question. I was just saying about the gender. I didn't say anything about them.
But where did you get this idea from? There's only two genders.
I just think it's my opinion.
That is my opinion.
If I respect their opinion, can't they respect my opinion?
It is not an opinion.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
but
It's not an opinion.
So the kid said, I'm giving my opinion. If I say there's only two genders, that's my opinion. And then the teacher said, that's not an opinion.
There's only a boy and a girl.
Literally. There's no other private part.
The girl says there's only boys and girls.
There's only two.
Gender is not linked to do with the
There is only two
parts that
genders.
you were.
And the teacher says gender isn't linked to the parts you were born with. I'm going to skip ahead now because I just want you to see how the teacher, they just kept going round. And then the teacher finally ended the conversation.
How you identity.
I
How you
don't agree with
identify.
Gender is about how you identify.
Yeah,
But it's not an opinion that
Yes,
we
it is.
express in this
Yes,
school.
it is.
No, it's not. And if you don't like it, you need to go to a different school.
If you don't like it, you need to go to a different school. That's what the teacher is
So
saying.
I did go to
I'm
different
reporting you to Miss Willis.
And I'm reporting you to Miss Willis.
You need to have a proper educational conversation.
You need to have a proper educational conversation. In other words, allow yourself to be indoctrinated. So you think that's just one stupid female teacher. Well, how about this?
Not very inclusive. No, I'm sorry, what you were saying was not very inclusive, and this is an inclusive school.
Yeah, how was what I was saying?
Because I was saying that what's wrong with the website is that there are more than one gender in this country.
That's
by law.
your opinion.
That is my opinion, and that is an opinion which is acceptable in the school. I'm afraid yours, which you're saying that there's no such thing as anyone other than male or female, is not
Scientifically,
inclusive.
there are just two genders.
So the kids said there are just two genders, and the teacher is obviously disagreeing with that.
Depending on what
I get that.
gender
But you're choosing to make an issue of this, because I said, are you really going to do it? That was your opportunity to keep quiet.
You made the issue with it on the website. You said,
Right, so what's going on here is that the lad says there are only two genders, and the teacher says, keep quiet. In other words, just allow yourself to be indoctrinated. Same thing.
that this website doesn't have more than two
Murray,
genders.
you were clearly given an opportunity not to pursue it. You chose to do so.
Yeah, because I think it's
You
silly.
chose to do so. Yes, that's the key question. You chose to do so.
I think it's silly to have anything other than two genders. So
That, okay. Could
Anything
you
else
please,
is a
could you
personal
please
opinion.
keep that opinion to your own house? Thank you.
Right, keep that opinion to your own house.
Not in the
so
school.
you get to put your opinion out in class, and my
No,
opinion. has to-
I am not.
My
putting
opinion has to stay
I am
inside
not
the house.
putting my opinion. I am not putting my opinion out. I am stating what is national school authority policy. Okay?
Right, okay, so you heard that. It's not my opinion. This is a school national policy. And I'm not so sure it was. That's the whole point.
Well, it's not scientific whatsoever.
Not every policy is scientific, not every policy is scientific, Murray.
And you can't come out here and say that I'm not being inclusive
he
when
agrees.
someone says
I
you can
didn't-
use-
He says not every policy is scientific, which means he knows it's wrong. But it's got to be said that way anyway.
disagree with. So you
I said what you were saying was not being
you
inclusive.
kicked me out of class. If you want to have a discussion about it, we could have had a discussion. You don't have to kick me out of class.
I'm
and
sorry,
waste 30 minutes
I'm-
of my time, where I could have been down revising, doing something else. Instead, I state something I believe in. You kick me out of class for 30 minutes. I'm waiting on the
Take
court.
this somewhere else, Murray. You can make an official complaint.
I'm not going
Please
to
do.
make an official complaint.
Why not?
I just think it's.
I know what you think, and I know what the authority thinks. I know what the authority's point of view
Well, I know
is
what science
very
thinks.
clear.
Right, so I know what you think and I know what the authority thinks. So you see, it's not just, this over-feminisation that a lot of people talk about, but listen to this guy.
Very clear that we make no discrimination on the grounds of various...
I wasn't making discrimination. I'm simply saying there are two genders, male and female.
Yeah.
Anything
And-
else is a personal identification.
I'm sorry, but you chose to make an issue of making a point which is contrary to policy.
You
right?
Oh, by the way, that Scottish teacher thing there, that was from 6 years ago. Now, as I said, there is a nice thing here from America. And just in case you Yanks want to feel too self-satisfied, it comes in the free press. And it's the same sort of problem. How do you fix schools? Teachers' union says stop Trump, ICE and fascism. This is by someone called Maya Sulkin. And it opens with this statement. 40% of American fourth graders have less than basic reading skills. Just a bit, I don't know what a fourth grader is. I'm going to look that up. According to AI Overview, a fourth grader in the United States is about 9 or 10 years old. Okay, 40% of American fourth graders have less than basic reading skills, and only 26% of 12th graders are considered proficient in maths. A 12th grader, according to AI Overview, is 17 or 18 years old. Only 26% of 12th graders are considered proficient in math, according to the federal government's National Assessment of Educational Progress. So that's a national body, I assume. It says here, you might think that there wasn't much else on the minds of teachers at the latest annual gathering of the nation's largest teachers' union. That's the NEA. You can read a description of every approved business item in this summary published by the NEA. This is the report that we were talking about, and if you want to read it, I'm going to leave a link in the description. I can't go through all of this, but this is the document we're talking about. But one convention delegate from Texas summarised them by telling me the response that a friend of hers got while trying to talk to other union members about the best ways to teach reading and writing. And this was the answer. We don't have time for that. We've got to fight Trump. Case closed. All right, I thought you might be interested in the state of education. And you can think about that till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.